Andrew Thomas of the New York Giants. Big-time matchup.
First of all, Robert Quinn, known as one of the better pass rushers, generating pressure at a 31% rate. Andrew Thomas is phenomenal.
Playing good, right?
Playing really good, keeping people off the quarterback. If I'm Matt Eberflus in this defense, I'm going to go test Robert Quinn over there on Evan Neal based on what we saw.
Let's go number 4 to a surprising team. Not the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Their interior guard, Brandon Scherf versus Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox, 3 sacks on the season. But first, you have to handle this run game. They are coming off in double team, super physical. Obviously, Trevor is athletic enough to kind of get out of harm's way. And Big Fletch doing what Big Fletch does.
Scherf's a big addition for them, man. Big time.
Absolutely.
We're going to put your guy 98 up. Jeffrey Simmons versus Quentin Nelson. This one like the nastiest matchups in the league.
God. You got the 3rd-ranked run stopper, I think, and the 5th-ranked block win rate in Quentin Nelson. But beyond all of that, man, beyond numbers, this physicality, like this old school football, this get your hands knocked back. Both teams got to win. Yeah, this is a phenomenal matchup for us to get in week 4 this season.
You guys know I love Wyatt Teller. I think he's one of the best, if not the best guards in all of football. But Grady Jarrett ain't been up here that much. So we're going to go to the Atlanta Falcons and put one of the best interior rushers in the league.
I always feel terrible that we don't pay enough attention. And I wish he was on a team that was doing a significant thing during the season. But Grady Jarrett is not. Look, we talk about motor,
internal pressure.
But he has that body, bro. I played with Leroy Glover. It's almost like a wrestler's body. There's no surface. There's no surface for you to get on Grady Jarrett. His hands are great, and his quick twitch is wonderful coming off the line. Why got his hands?
Probably the number 1 and going to be the most impactful. The big-time free agent signing, Armstead versus Trey Hendrickson, who's absolutely superstar.
And Trey does not switch much, so he'll be lined up on Terran Armstead. And obviously, we know what this offense is in Miami. Tua is getting the ball out of his hands quickly. They move it around both. So opportunities are few and far in between. Terran Armstead is a technician, a superior athlete. If you look at his ankles, they're smaller than boogies. And Trey Hendrickson is a powerful guy, great hand usage. It'll be a good battle to see some old school dudes that know the position very well to see who can win and get one.
I got cankles, so I don't know what it's like to have skinny ankles.
That's why you ran a 4.78 in the 30.
I'm looking at my ankles like I don't know if they're that small. I think y'all might have smaller ankles than me. We'll have to test that out. All right, listen, what's going on with the Saints right now? They dropped to 1-2. The injuries are piling up. Marcus picked the Saints also in the Super Bowl, so he picked the Chargers and Saints. Well, I'm just telling the people in case they forgot. Saints offense has struggled early this season, averaging just 17 points per game. New Orleans actually ranks dead last in offensive efficiency, and turnovers have been a big reason why they lead the league with 9 of them. Jameis Winston hadn't helped in that regard, throwing 5 interceptions, tied for the most in the NFL. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Those interceptions have come late in games, and he's trying to do a little bit too much. So, Adam, the Saints have a bunch of injuries. What's the latest there?
Well, let's start with the quarterback, Laura. Jameis Winston did not practice today. He was held out of practice just as he was last Wednesday when Andy Dalton took all the reps. And last week, the Saints weren't sure that Jameis Winston would be healthy enough to make it to Sunday. He did. And now they think he'll be healthy enough once again to be able to start against the Vikings in London on Sunday. Now the question becomes, will he have both his wide receivers? Because neither Jarvis Landry nor Michael Thomas practiced today. Landry is dealing with an ankle injury. Thomas dealing with a foot and ankle injury as well. And so there are wide receiver issues to go along with the quarterback issue. Some real problems for the Saints as they get ready for a big international game in London on Sunday.
Yeah, Keith, the offense obviously beat up. How can they turn it around after their slow start?
Well, it's hard when you got a quarterback with a bad back. I think Andy Dalton might be the answer for a couple weeks, and let's see what happens. I don't know about the receiving core, but the defensive side of the ball can do this for them. If they can create the turnovers and do some of the same things that they did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and get just enough points, then they turn things around because that particular division is not strong.
Yeah, Marcus brought this up earlier.
Slater officially out for the year, placed on IR today. We know that Jalen Guyton tore his ACL, and then there are other injuries in LA that we know about with the Chargers, but there is no team in the league that is dealing with more injury adversity than Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, sometimes I realize the injury bug can sound cliche, but sometimes teams just get hit with it. It seems like bad luck. Thanks to Adam doing his very best Bill Belichick impersonation there, too. Marcus, these Chargers were your preseason Super Bowl pick. I hate to bring that up. I know we're not like that far through the season here, but have your expectations changed with all these unfortunate injuries? It's okay, big fella.
I wanted to come on and say no. But you can't possibly say.
Look at that list. We should throw it back up there.
And we're not talking about just a list. We're talking about dudes that literally contribute to the most important guys that contribute to you having an opportunity to make a Super Bowl run. Rashawn Slater, obviously. You talk about Bosa being, like, it's so critical. And I think a lot of people look down the road, and yeah, you can bounce back. But the way the playoffs are structured, how important it is for you to try to position yourself for your road towards the playoffs, it's just difficult to say that a team that's going to have their best pass rusher out for 4 weeks, you got torn rib cartilage in your quarterback, you just lost your left tackle, Keenan Allen is coming back off of a hamstring. We don't know how impactful he's going to be, even though that's good news. It's just difficult to say. Like, players matter. I know we like to say next man up, and we gonna fight through this and go through it. No, you don't. It's certain guys that you ain't fighting through. It's certain dudes that you ain't replacing, and they are critical to what you do on the field. And the Chargers, quite frankly, struggled against the Jacksonville Jaguars with Joey Bosa got whooped for a majority of their game. So I think I got to figure out something else.
Sorry.
So how do they, moving forward, how do they contend in the division, that's loaded, in a conference that's loaded? We are literally a week away from being a quarter way through the season.
Yes.
That's a very real thing. How do they get healthy and then start to play their best football when it matters the most? That's kind of what these injuries really encapsulate. Can we still keep afloat in the AFC West? That's a difficult decision with left tackle, quarterback, J.C. Jackson. You know, and you don't want to change your identity. Their identity is Justin Herbert can make plays for us. We like to try to push the ball downfield. They don't do it enough. But you have to change your philosophy of how you're going to do it, right? The philosophy is, well, we can't just leave our left tackle out by himself.
Yep.
Maybe we can't play as much man coverage as we wanted to without J.C. Jackson and Joey Bosa rushing. So your identity stays the same, but Brandon Staley and his staff got to figure out philosophically how are they going to try to contend, get healthy, and start playing good football near the end of the season.
They have the Texans, and they have the Browns and the Broncos, coming up. Something caught a lot of people's attention in the game against the Jaguars. Brandon Staley, the head coach, leaving Justin Herbert into the game. They trailed by 28 with 5 minutes to play.
Why?
Yeah,
Why
what
would
were
you
your
do
thoughts?
that? But don't just go to the Jags game. Go all the way back to Kansas City at the end of that game. Yes, I know you still had a chance to possibly pull it off after the pick six, but he's hurt. So you got to get him out of the game. You realize he didn't want to have any real part today. He might have said, leave me in, coach. But he threw the ball on the ground. Was like, I can't do it. So you need to understand that and notice that as a coach. Now fast forward to the Jacksonville Jaguar game. You're down by 28. 4 minutes and some change. Your answer to people's question was, well, he wanted to be out there with his teammates. We was out there with his teammates for 3.5 damn quarters. Why would you put him in that situation? Franchise quarterback, $500 million guy when his time is up, whatever that number's going to be.
Left tackle gone.
Left tackle gone. 15 years of quarterback potentially for the Chargers. Phillip Rivers like, and you're putting him in harm's way. What if he'd got hurt, Dan? Then what?
I disagree with you to start.
No, you cannot.
No, to start. I think you make a good point, though, with he's been out there enough.
Get to
the future. No, I think that's fair.
Sometimes
you're not going to win the game.
As the coach, you got to be the one that says, all right, I just got to take you out whether you want to be in there or not. Like, protect you from yourself.
But he's smarter than everybody as a head coach. You go back to last year, he lost at least 3 games because of his decision making. And it could eventually catch up to him. Whether players are in or out of the lineup, I want to see, can he be a Harbaugh type? Harbaugh teams just fall apart, but he can still figure out a way to win.
Overall arching is this, because, Key, you make a great point. The decisions are going to be called into question from Brandon Staley. And we, like, the expectation of this team coming into the season,
Super Bowl,
and you have an abysmal season, that everybody understands injuries. But it's also, to your point, how do you handle those injuries? That's really when coaching is like.
Didn't spend all that money in the offseason on re-signing players and giving Mike Williams money and bringing in Khalil Mack for them to miss the playoffs.
Hopefully he'll learn from that one, man, because I agree with you.
Yeah, and speaking of those injuries, I think this number really puts it into context. The Chargers defense had 6 sacks in week 1. Since then, they have 1 sack in their last 2 games combined. They're completely decimated on that defense. We talked about the offense, too. But either way, it all starts and ends in the trenches. So speaking of that, we head to the trenches next. Dan and Marcus are going to talk about the best battles we'll see in week 4. Spoiler alert.
Look, I just taught you so well.
Going to be very proud. I love the trenches. I love the big men.